Pisces, Sun, Moon, Rising, April 2024. Pisces, the month starts on the 8th of April with an eclipse in your second house. It doesn't directly affect your sign, but oftentimes, if you're Pisces Sun, you might have some planets in Aries. So do check maybe Venus or Mercury, especially around the 19th degree. You will feel it then a lot more intensely. But having eclipse in the second house, this is a new moon eclipse, which is about new beginnings with the North Node to get something, to create some new karma or new developments in your life, and to uh, gain something. Even the North Node can be about gaining, but of course, because it's an eclipse, it can happen through a crisis or through some kind of a disruption a little bit. But the ultimate goal of this eclipse is to really shift the vibration, your financial vibration for you, your self-worth vibration. Eclipses cause always, when there are eclipses, there are a lot more increased seismic activity. The same happens on a soul level. There is a seismic activity and earthquakes on the axis of your second and eighth house, which is other people's resources and values and your resources. The previous eclipse in March is here in your eighth house. So the themes about my money, my resources, your resources can be very potent for you this month. But there is a shift there. There is a shift where maybe you uh, cannot be, because the eclipse in the eighth house is about other people's resources. Maybe you might have to let go of some source of income that comes to you from another, or maybe be more sacrificing for a partner, while a new venture, a financial opportunity, a new source of financial opportunity to be more financially independent is opening specifically for you. Second house is your own resources and how you rule them. And this is where the new moon eclipse is something new coming there, new idea, new shifting of possibilities. Of course, again, they can be through some financial kind of breakdown, which goes through a breakthrough, or it can happen in a more smooth way if you're more aligned to divine, to your higher calling, to divine will, if you're more aligned to your inner voice, if you're more in touch with God by living healthily, by following your intuition. Usually, eclipses don't shake us up so much. So that's why I always advise people, keep your connection with God, to your higher self, be a good decent human being, and then most astrological influences, you breeze through them. But yeah, there is a big shift here emotional, on your attitude towards money, on your vibration towards money, which will make you over the next 1 year, because an eclipse takes 1 year to manifest. It's like an omen. They can be pretty fast change of your financial state. I remember when there is eclipses in my second and eighth house from the moon. Then it was from the moon and from the ascendant, because they're opposite each other. So, both second and eighth house double activated. I lost everything I've possessed then, to build 3 times as much more, because my income increased 3 times much more. And so there is, maybe one door is closing, but something new is coming that will be way more on a higher vibration and opportunity, and it will activate you into pursuing more financial stability and so on, and creating it yourself, because it's Aries after all. You can also be a big shift in your psychological uh, makeup in regards to how you eat. Second house is also the food. You can start a brand new way of diet, and Aries days, the sign of enthusiasm. You just need to keep on that fire going. So you can shift how you eat. You can change your face. And with eclipses, it can be a quick change somehow, whatever you want. You can change your teeth. You can. There might be some need for teeth or whatever that this eclipse activates work there. Because the second house is all this here, what they call it, the money maker. And it's about making money, second house. So these are some, and you might be, Mercury is retrograde there, you might be revising how you rebudgeting. There might be some extra expenses that come initially that kickstart you on this journey, or some revising of how you make money, how you invest them, where you put them, how you eat, revising, ruminating, thinking deep, some clarifying conversations. But of course, they might indicate indicate some unexpected expenses for some of you as well. Just be prepared for this. Eclipse, Mercury retrograde in second house, misplacing some objects. Second house is valuables, possessions, you know, and of course, don't get yourself sucked into, because eclipse after all can invite the darker forces. Get sucked in some get rich quick schemes. Stay away from those. Eclipse with Rahu. Rahu's are tricksters. Mercury retrograde tricksters as well. Just be careful. But if you have like more solid plan where Aries quality with your own initiative, um, and you kind of plan it well, Mercury retrograde, you first prepare, plan it, you can really shift your financial state for a long time, for forever. Gain a lot more. And again, as I said, food can shift a lot. um, and if there is some crisis happening health wise or whatever, examining the food that you're eating, it might have to do with that. Maybe you might have some realization that certain foods are more toxic for you, and if you just eliminate just one type, for some it might be gluten, for some it might be meat, for some it might be some weird food like kiwi that they realize is giving the problem. But there might be this new way of looking at those things. And well, it's also happening in my second house from Placidus, but you might be initiating some new project that becomes a source of wealth for you or something like that, or financial security and so on. Your values can shift, what you like to eat, and it can be like on a deep cellular level shift, because eclipses are about changing your skin and it happens fast. What you like as clothes, your appearance in your face, what you like as makeup, what you like as food, as taste. Maybe suddenly you don't like the taste of some food, or what you like as art. What, if you're an artist, what is your artist style? What materials you use, what paint? Suddenly you shift them from one type to another type. So that's one side of it. Second house is family as well. There might be some big shakeup and change to the family. Some surprise news, or sometimes it can be a bit of a crisis as well there. But something new is coming for the family, because second house and fourth house are connected to family. Uh, all right, and to the family wealth overall, that can, and with Aries, something new there. Usually it's to gain because it's with the North Node Rahu, but it's an eclipse, we can never be fully sure. Now, the next big event is that Saturn and Mars are joining. You're going to feel this in your sign, and they will never join again for the next 29 years in your sign. So the pressure is on you, Pisces. Pisces, I know Pisces, and this is sweet, cute. Oh, it's almost like spineless or whatever, like seafood. But Pisces now, and Neptune has been in your sign for 14 years, making you even more allowing, more gentle, beautiful qualities, compassionate, psychic, maybe a bit lost. Some of you might have been at some point over the last 14 years really lost in a fog, really lost in some kind of escapist tendencies, or really kind of unclear who you are and what you want. Maybe some losses happen because of this Neptune, or maybe kind of really retreating in your own world, or a bit more isolationist, or really retreating into some kind of a fog, or escaping reality or spirituality if you're on a higher level. Maybe you've been saving the world, the higher vibration of Neptune, and or some spiritual work. But now Saturn and Mars, these are very organized planets. These are soldier. The soldier, Mars is the general, Saturn is discipline. They come to you, and actually it's a very welcome influence. It might feel a bit too tough because they're a bit of a brutal and ruthless energy, and they joined together on the 10th of April, but they've been already in your sign. Some of you already felt it from a year ago, Saturn entering your sign. But now Mars starts a new cycle with Saturn, which will last for 2 years. So it's telling you now you're gonna start something new, or new way of being that you develop over the next 2 years with willpower, Mars, with perseverance, Saturn. You have way more power to say no than other times in your life. Saturn is the power of no. You have way more time to discriminate, way more power to use discrimination, Saturn, to put boundaries and not let others use you, abuse you, or to put yourself in order if you're a mess. Saturn and Mars don't tolerate tardiness, messiness, laziness, and you feel your inner authority or maybe an external force that is pushing you towards get yourself together, you know? Don't mope around. Now it's time to be disciplined. Now it's time to be hard on yourself. Sometimes it's good not to a big extent, but in a sense to, uh, and it's you gonna use the fire of Mars. Sometimes even getting, you might get angry about why is my body like that. If it's your ascendant, it might be why is my body like that? Why is my lifestyle like that? And Saturn will give you the perseverance to change it. So never ever, never have you had so much such strength. Saturn and Mars are the strongest and toughest planets. So badass Pisces now for 2 years. Strength. Maybe you can. Saturn and Mars is the marathon runner. Saturn and Mars is the Iron Man. Saturn and Mars is making some feat, some achievement that requires your blood, tears, and willpower and perseverance to go through. So, almost like the universe is calling you to do your great work now for 2 years. You might be laying some foundations for a new health, for a new body, for a new first house can be, depending if it's your ascendant, it's your body, it's your health, it's your lifestyle, it's your direction in life. Saturn and Mars. Mars is master builder. Sorry, Saturn both and Mars are master builders. Mars is the muscle. Saturn is the deliberate, the hard work. So now you're in this role where you can transform over the next 2 years your health, if it's your ascendant, your direction in life. You're building some foundations, and you have way more willpower than other times, and you're gonna have, and you might feel fear, which is Saturn in your house, fear. But Mars is like telling you, feel the fear, but do it anyway. So Mars will give you this. Saturn will be, yeah, I might have fear, but Mars will do it anyway. And you can be building the beginning of a new life for you, the great work, because once you've developed Saturn Mars qualities, which is what they're asking you to do over the next 2 years, willpower, Mars, strength, Mars, courage, and determination, perseverance, and the power of self restraint and self control. These are the hardest thing to build. These are the hardest. Maybe compassion comes easier for you. But sometimes those things of Saturn and Mars are the hardest. We only can build them under pressure. So, yes, you might be under pressure, but it's a brand new you that's emerging, that you're chiseling. There's those pictures or whatever where the stone, an arm is coming from the stone and it's chiseling itself. You're that arm coming from the stone, chiseling yourself with Saturn Mars in Pisces for 2 years ahead. You're not in a hurry. Don't hurry. You have time, but you have to be consistent and regular, Saturn, and have the willpower to carry on. So you might be working on some big new project that you start that requires your focus and concentration for a couple of years. You might be working, if it's your sun, it might be even to do with your career. Again, willpower and health with your moon, something to do with your personal life, family, or relationships that you're building, that you're really putting more boundaries, being more serious about your life, building foundations there. So something new start. But of course, around the 10th, or even the whole first 10, 15 days, you can feel more stress on you, more pressure. These are not easy energies. You might be more triggered, but also more motivated to act. And usually Saturn Mars kick us into action because of something frustrating that happens. Something that, because these are not like motivation, inspirational. I suddenly feel the urge to be a better person, to have more willpower. Something frustrates you about yourself or about your circumstances. And it's like, enough, I've had enough. Now I'm going to do it. So if you have this, think of it, wow, thank you God, like I needed this fire and this anger, this kick, so I can activate myself into building up this project, or some new beginning. First house is you, some new beginning that you work on over the next couple of years, learning to overcome obstacles, to be persistent, to be hardworking, courageous. Things that are not very Piscean, but everyone needs to build this, and now it's your call. And thankfully, it's putting order after the Neptunian fog for years and years. Now, and you find it much easier to control yourself and such kind of to be tough, to be to create a routine in your life. Definitely, you see now to start a work exercise routine or whatever. Those hard things of Saturn and Mars that you were afraid to do before. Of course, be careful for danger to your body or damages. To be honest, I had Saturn and Mars conjunction in my first house uh, 2 years ago, and oh yeah, it's yes, I remember that. I definitely built some resilience during that time and willpower. And I had to like keep going and going. And it's just finishing for me this project. And those two, let me give you my example what happened. Saturn Mars conjunction in my first house. I started working very hard on some project that was just moving so slowly and always like every time I was being told no, it's not gonna happen, no, it's not gonna happen, or but I kept pushing and I kept pushing, and I'm just closing Saturn Mars 2 years later now with this new conjunction. I'm closing the first Saturn Mars in my first house, and we had a breakthrough and we finished it. We're just finishing it now. So even if whatever you're doing feels like so many blockages, jumping hoops, it's stagnant, it's not moving there, within 2 years, maybe even earlier, if you're consistent, and you will have the consistency. That's the good thing Saturn and Mars new cycle gives you, and the courage to push on despite of the frustration. You end it up, and this is one of the biggest thing I'm most proud of. So Saturn Mars conjunction, when you complete the call of Saturn Mars by building perseverance, courage, not giving up, you end up doing your great work. So I wish the same for you, Pisces. You're starting your great work now, some of you, many of you. And I want to see the results in 2 years. And now the third thing that I'm excited to talk about is Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. By the way, you're Jupiter. This is your traditional ruler. And it's going to join with Uranus. It's been very close to Uranus for already in March, in April, and in May. But so I would say even some of you from the beginning of the year feeling those effects. The peak of this conjunction is on the 20th of April. And actually we'll be doing a meditation together with Brian Collective. If you want to join us, that might be amazing experience, because you're Jupiter. This conjunction is very important for you. Jupiter, you join Uranus because you're Jupiter once every 14 years, and it's a new impulse. Uranus is the energy of newness, newness, newness. You see how much newness there is this month. New cycle of Saturn and Mars in your first house to be tougher, stronger, long term. New eclipse, new moon eclipse in Aries, the sign of something new with your finances, with your consolidation of resources, self-worth. New renewal, new cycle of Jupiter and Uranus in your third house of communication. But I want to focus not just on the third house, but that you are Jupiter. Uranus is bringing this fresh impulse. Uranus is like awakening. Uranus is like awakening from a sleep, and it comes then. It can shake you up, but it feels like I'm alive. You might start feeling like you're alive again and willing to do difficult things with Saturn and Mars here. And third house is the house of initiatives and courage, where they're joining. There can be a new impulse of initiative and courage there. Despite of the fear of Saturn, feel the fear and do it anyway. And Jupiter Uranus joining in your third house of initiative. Third house rules entrepreneurials. So for some of you, it can be the start of entrepreneurship. I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. Having your own business, okay. Self-made wealth is third house. Jupiter-Uranus conjunctions is about some ideas or some opportunities that come to us, which will unfold over the next 14 years. Again, it's not just on the 20th of April you become entrepreneur and that's it. Where's my money now? Ha! No, it's like this whole year, the first 6 months while Jupiter and Uranus are together close, and especially around the peak, an idea can come to your third house in your mind. You can download it directly, which will allow you to become to have more self-made wealth that you can unfold over the next 14 years, that it keeps giving and giving. It keeps giving and giving, so it can be this opportunity for you. I don't know what it is. For some it might be a business, but something that frees you. Jupiter Uranus is to be free, that gives you more freedom in life, but there is this element of freedom powerfully in Uranus, but there is this element of Saturn of self restraint and you having to discipline yourself to gain that freedom, especially financial freedom because it's in Taurus, the sign of money, especially freedom in the ability to unfold your skills, third house, in a way that it's in a way that gives you freedom to unfold your skills, not to use your skills for someone telling you do this, do that. For me, it's like, no, I'm using my skills to free myself, third house skills. I'm using my skills to free myself, but I'm using self discipline to do it in the process. You know that they say the biggest discipline, the biggest freedom, Uranus, comes from self control and by self discipline. So Saturn's saying here we have to do the self discipline and you'll get so much freedom over the next 14 years. But especially with your skills, talents, you can learn something and become super passionate to learn some new training, some skills, some course. I don't know, something. Third house is to learn something, to become enthusiastic about some knowledge, some skills, some uh, training to do, or you can start a business. Third house is marketing, advertising. You can become brilliant. Jupiter Uranus conjunction is the conjunction of the brilliant mind in the third house. Jupiter is divine. No, Uranus is, Jupiter is angelic wisdom, knowledge. Uranus is divine wisdom and knowledge. So, what kind of information are you gonna download, Pisces? What is it there that you can have some eureka moment and some clarity and like the puzzles fit in your mind, or a lightning hits you and you're like, I know now. I know what I have to do. I know uh, something. You know something. Clarity there. This inspiration comes in the third house. Maybe a person will appear that Jupiter Uranus is in a social house, third house. Might be a mate, a friend, someone online that shakes you up, that inspires you. Uranus to shake up, to change you. Jupiter to inspire you. Jupiter to inspire you, that opens new horizons in front of you. Maybe something shifts in your consciousness. Your mind starts working in a different way. Uh, Maybe you come across an interest or a hobby, which is also third house is interest, hobbies, or skill or knowledge that you can find your voice. Uranus is about your authenticity. Jupiter is your voice to be heard. Maybe it's time now to start something, third house, something with media. Maybe it's time to become a messenger over the next 14 years for important message. Well, I don't know what this message will be about. You know what the message is, and you're the voice. Jupiter and Uranus are giving you a new task, a new mission, inspired mission that you'll follow, to be a voice of something, to be to reach out to people in some way. Oh, like Jonah. There is a message there and there is wisdom and fire in that. Or maybe it's the start of some trip. Maybe a trip will change your life. Third house is trip. Maybe you go to Thailand for a couple of weeks, a trip under 1 month. uh, or maybe you meet someone that gives this new circle of friends, new social circle that over the next 14 years can turn into a source of even abundance and opportunities. Maybe some skills that you can learn. Maybe you can learn AI, or maybe you can learn about Bitcoin. Third house is to learn, to study. Jupiter Uranus is altcoins, Bitcoins, new technologies, astrology. Maybe it's time for you to study astrology or complex system knowledge, higher knowledge of some sort. Maybe it's time for you to learn about, I don't know, something especially new, innovative. Uranus and Jupiter is science, new knowledge, whatever is the newest trends. It's social media, the third house. Maybe you're the next big star on social media. And maybe you'll be so lucky. Jupiter and Uranus is very lucky to go right if you're launching a website or anything like that. Third house is website, business, social media, writing a book, messaging of any sort. Do it now. Do it when Mercury turns direct, okay? After the 25th of April, all the other planets will be direct. And Uranus and Jupiter says whatever you start will be growing and growing over the years as a source of abundance. Start something. Third house is self-made wealth, media, and so on. Or learning something. Thank you so much.